Ije mo aha Allahu adebo ifen anuncho drolo ke mobo na lo manche koju mogbile no le peji moni woja le non pe ingo wobio yili ke bua mo ifen ke jo ombi Allahu ake kan de pliki jo mo idro mo ke bo na mo shi ke bagbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam no ke me fen wale na she Islam ne mene bina Islam ba sho mo bie ombi Allahu ake kan de kudo kenye Islam tempo no he no to fan ye ewo bon je he no ye mo hu ye e kan ne ha wo shifu mo je keje ba che wo hu e che wo bi mi no ni twon papa ese hia gbene Islam he jolengam ja assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh no jingamo ninke nga tuibulo ifen ifi akenyi se ochile he ni wo ke woni kase mo ba waji wo kwe the effect of anger keji mokominfu na agba ni inyo ikeba ni agbena wo ke wo nkwe anger control and management gbeno ni wo ba anyo wo tun ni ke wo mi efun lo wo mi afun wo ba anye ni wo mu neke na agba na clen ke esake wole no ni poten ni ha wo mi fun no bia ke ni na po hihia ke imi afun ye helo ta flache moni mi afun le na po ta flache je he no moni mene kra ke nkwa eshidan mo mi mokoni ka na ke mi fun le ta flache wo ke bule ni yo ke ha mi na kan wo ke bule lololo e ba hinje lo agbene me kumeni ka me mi ba fun ni bi kume chon hin clen o kadi kume jiopo dani ameboti ona kan mu de mi we sa ke uyo se ne oba hano komoni ake me kumeni no ba na ke boni emu ya le fa se ya lo yafi boni eyole mo ko no ba na ke ke ne ba trash mo ko no ba na ke yitu ba agbale mo ko ne ba fit mo hin dile lo mo ko no ba na ke boni edumotion na ke bo mo tu efin ewosu epopo be ne ke bo mo ne eku emi afun me ko me ka me mba afun ni bi ni twon hin o kade ni twon hin ne agbene oba she he ni nke we no ku ni ye blofo mi nchola ke automatic negative thoughts ANTs ni eneme isake wokwe ame ojugba clen no mo ke no ba na ke o miele ta flache ina yo mo ko ebu mi ke nwi aka nwi mo twun ni ja ta flache imbe ni na mo lo imbe shika no ni ji enyo o ba na ke mo ko hun ye ni le he ni damo jemenu edama ke isake afi ne nyensumoju afi le neke keji iyabale na kanpe keke neke bomone emi efu no ni ji etin mokueni kenokote no ebi poni atwon le no ni ba ehitwomo sheledенche ba asusun lo ba adwen ha mo ake eku eneke ene hewo mo fi na kan blofo mi aka ke mind reading ofitumo bwe ulemu eyichomi shin eku eta flache no osusun ake ndo ha mo wi no ko lu efi no ko je na kan ji boni eyole wote me ko me ho ba na ake shin no fe no ni ba wo ba hwa mo fe mo shi wo ba ji wo yeke ba jem iwo ke wo ke na agba ko me mpompe wo shin le me bia na ne sa ake wota shi no bi wo ya ke mini hiwo ne ke na agba na ba na Abdur Rashid ke ne lu efi ne lu me ne fi ne no ha nke ne ke na agba na ekpo ene me fe iwawo ene me jinon blofo me nchola ake automatic negative thoughts low ANTs ni isa ake wo twene. We are very grateful to you for tuning in to yet another edition of this program. As most of you recall, on the last episode, when we met the last time, we looked at the effect of anger, and then we also looked at anger control and management. We said it is very important for you to explore what is behind your anger. Ask yourself whether what is making you angry is worth that anger. Then we also mentioned the fact that you should be aware of your anger warning signs. You see, before someone gets into that mood, there are certain signs that precedes that condition, such as you begin to breathe faster. Some will begin to have headache, serious headache. Some will have trouble concentrating. Some will just be hitting objects and so on. These are the signs that precede some people's anger. So you should know all those things so that when you are getting into that mode, you know that you are in the wrong place, and then you move away from whatever is moving you or whatever is making you get angry. Then I also mentioned what I christened automatic negative thoughts, ANTs. One is overgeneralization, where you think, okay, as for me, because I'm poor, because I'm this, because I'm that, nobody respects me. If I even give a suggestion, no one listens to my suggestion. So it makes you angry. The other ANT is where you insist that something should be done or something must be done. And if it doesn't go that way, it means nobody respects you, and so you get angry. So having a rigid view of the way things should or must be done makes some people get angry. Then the third ANT I would want to mention is what I've christened mind reading or jumping to conclusions, where you assume that you know what someone else is thinking or feeling. So even when someone does something, you in your own self or by your own self, you are able to determine what the intentions behind that action is, and that in itself is very problematic. Then again, we blame everyone except ourselves. So even when we are having issues in our lives, instead of sitting down and asking ourselves what might have occasioned this or what might have accounted for that, we blame everyone else except ourselves, and that in itself is a problem. So these are part of the issues I want to christen as ANT, automatic negative thoughts, and we should do away with them. Now let's move to the other issues. Avoid people and places and situations that bring out your worst. If you know I am the one who provokes you, who makes you angry, try as much as possible to move away from where I am. Like our elders say in the Ghana language, ke sisanta odie oninie osun. You see, there is something referred to as ghost. I don't know whether it does exist or not, but just listen to me. Our elders are saying that there is no way a human being shakes hands with the ghost. So if a ghost extends a hand of invitation to you to shake your hand, you just coil back. You just move away from what that ghost want to do. In effect, what it means is that if you know I, Abdur Rashid, I'm the one who provokes you, I am the one who makes you angry, just avoid me as much as you could so that you don't get angry by my actions. Now you should also learn ways to cool down. Once you know how to recognize your anger warning signs, that in itself is part of the solution, which should tell you that this is what I have to do under that circumstances, and it helps you. And then again, find healthier ways of expressing your anger if you think you should express your anger at all costs. You see, I'll be angry. Like the example I cited last week, the case of the cat and then the case of the dog. They all see the same thing. The cat will just turn a blind eye or will just blink the eye. The dog will see the same thing. The dog will bark. So if you have to express your anger at all, ask yourself, of these two animals that Abdur Rashid mentioned, which of those two animals will represent the expression of my anger in a better way that I will not lose my self-respect and self-esteem? So manyame kaji oleake bieden kente afiti ontwi ni imimfun eje bomode yake ochonje mekra ake ho kaji oleake gbomone leji moni ewie mu ke nifi mu fitio otwie bomode yake na kan gbomo okele nanshna mu ni iba fiti otwi ni nuba ha ni ofi nuko lo uba wie nuko ni kefi se ubashwa ohi onukpa ike kesisa nto die onini osun agbene esake okase ni ole boni keji omimfun uba mi omimfun oha ni ene to ba fitin o seje me keji ole ni bi ni ha ni omimfu keji na kan ni bi Mbappe oba abomoden ko ni oyohe no bona afi ne kan mimfu ne eka ha ni ofite noko agbene hu nsa nwi e blofo emiake ni bi ko me ni keji ba ken isake ogboda ni owie noko shibio he ake tema wie mo na mahaten ni wo kebule ni yo ke hami na kan ke wo bule eyangmemi lo eyabomi lo elaje energy noni isake ofi agbene ye Islam jamomi mini gbejiano gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam eto ke hawo ni ke wo mimfun wo ke ba mo wo mimfun na kanklano kaji okwe wie moko ni sahaba ekomina achola ke Suleiman ibn Sard radiyallahu anhu eke gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wakele nye ni wona menyo kumeni amembe na amenke amehini amenja amehi amenwi amenshi amehi ni gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ina ake mokume ehin echuwa de nche efe echulu de na engbe echu keke shi fetumo ehin fetumo echulu ni gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam eke mene inle wie moko ni keji ewie boni ehie edo boni ehie echune fen baalaje noji ni ibake a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim niji mimba bo ye Allahu adebo efen anuncho kenje abunsan moni lenyumbo ikwa edin ka okwe ne kan wie mo ne ene twon wake gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam eke wake kaji wo mimfun wo bomodin ni wo baabo ye nyumbo ngo keje abunsan moni nyumbo ikwale edin ke wote hin ke hadith ko club aba no ba no ne woni gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ke wo mimfun wo baabo ye nyumbo ngo keje abunsan moni le nyumbo ikwale edin. So practically, how do you manage or control your anger as far as Islam is concerned? The first thing is to seek refuge in Allah when you get angry. This is based on the narration of Suleiman ibn Sard radiyallahu anhu. He said, we went out with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we saw two people abusing themselves. They were engaged in exchange of words. They were insulting one another. And one of them got so angry that the face turned red, as in the color red. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I know a word that if this person should say it, all his anger will vanish. And as you look at his face, which looks red, everything will turn normal. And that is A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. That is, I seek refuge with Allah from Shaitan, the accursed one. That is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and this is based on the hadith narrated by Suleiman ibn Sard radiyallahu anhu. So when you get angry, Islam expects you first and foremost to seek refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. Noneji enyo Islam chon wake kaji omimfun fe modin kefe nko ma ke kaji omimfun ni ofie oyin ake o tawo ni o chon o gbala noni ba ni omi efun ke okwe na hin o ba fite osane yo kaji omimfun bo mode ake o ba fi din na kan no jiboni gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam e chon wo ye Islam kaji omimfun bo ohe modern ake o ba fi din Ejake bemi ni ogbala ni emi ni omi efun. O wa nyosa o wie mo kokloko. Ni na kan wie mo je na kan ji boni utawo ni o wiele. Lo sole boni moni ogbala wie mo mi ochon. Sole boni ibanu shishin eha. Ejake bode nche omi efun. Ni omi efun hewo. Taflache onye oto wie mo na jogba ni oba wie. Keke mo ba asusu ake o ehien kan na ewie ne ehien kan na efe ne ewo keji omi mfun bo modern ake oba afi din owie eja keke owie oba wie ni no ba afi ma ewo bo modern ake oba afi din. The second thing is that Islam teaches us that when you get angry, you should remain silent. You should hold your peace. You should keep quiet. Don't try explaining yourself to anyone. Don't try explaining yourself to anyone when you are angry because you risk being misunderstood. You risk entrenching the wrong perception those people have had about you as a result of your anger, because you say, yes, we said it even when he was angry, when she was angry, she said this, she did that. Don't explain yourself to anyone. As much as possible, walk off the scene. Walk out of the scene where the provoking or where the provocative action is going on. Just walk out of the place. Don't try explaining yourself to anyone, irrespective of who is there. Tell him or her, I'm sorry, I'll talk to you later, and then just move out of that place. By so doing, as I said, you will not end up creating the negative perception about why you are angry, and you not end up creating the negative perception about your own self. Just walk off the scene. That will save you a lot, because as you explain yourself, the one provoking you may chip in a word or two, and that will anger you the more. Or even those you are explaining things to may ask a question or two which will provoke you the more. So as much as possible, just walk out of that particular place. If you walk out of that place, what do? The third thing is that just relax yourself. Just relax yourself. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said, he said, if any of you get angry, sit down. If you are standing, sit down. If you sit and you are still angry, lie down. Lie down. So just relax yourself. You get angry. You were standing. Sit down. If you are sitting and you are still angry, just lie down. I'm not saying you should sleep. Just lie down. Relax the body. That in itself will calm you down. And indeed, psychologists have come out to ascertain that indeed all these procedures, all these processes Islam set in place are workable, and they really take us out of our anger zone and correct things for us. So if you are standing and you are angry, sit down. If you sit down and you are still angry, lie down. What it means is that, yes, you should relax yourself and get out of your anger zone. So, manyeme, woke wie money ji enyo ba ake o bo modin ake oba fi din keji ibala ake o mifu o fi din na se lololu e minfun e yejeme gbojo mo ohe tó bá fi ton bá gbojo ohe ochi ohe keje he ni minfun e yo lololu e minfun yo min ntwa ke o mifu keji odamoshin tashi keji odamoshin ni o mifu e tashi keji otashi ni lololu e minfun e yejeme kashin je ake kashin ake wo ntwa ake kashin no ojo ogbomochu ehe oke gbojo mo he bona afi ni neken minfune eshije kote consulting room no na psychologist o wa peshka dan o ba nale minfun wa ke minfun neken ma jawe mo ene no ekwe ba ake call minfun o ehia je podo ya ma mi bi mi no ba otwie no nin call we bi no pay agbote no ba na consultant do ba peshka ulu de ba chombo ina emefen ni oyafe o keji obotue no onyo okechuni ni mbotue ni mihunye nkechuni e ba awawo boni gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam e chonwo ni bia na jinshi palo denche iba na ake wo enemeji ni bi ni keji wo fe e ba awawo keminkebu wo ba afi na kamaja ni bi e ba awawo ke wo minfu noni ji ejwe indamoshin emiefu intashin emiefu inkashin emiefu minima fi gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ke nono ba fi eji o ba fi wudu boni ke wa asole afi alwala wudu blofo ke ablution boni wo fo wo he nu wo ke chuo wo he dani wa asole o no jino no ba fi mini wo nke hito neba gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam eke benye na minfun eje shetani abonsan enwo ton boni nyise ochile wo nkase ni ebie ni wo fe ile fa ake gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ke je moni hiwaji moni ke meno abotre ika mesesa shi moni hiwaji moni ke twi fite eminfun enye yo etwi no leji moni eyo hiwale leji hiwale che ona boni gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ke ewo no chon wa ke eje shaitan ho ye hadith name in particular ke benya na minfun eje shaitan niji abonsan ho ni abonsan abole keje lami ene hewo kenye te muku minfun ni lahun nuji no ni akegbiola ewo kenye te muku minfun ebomode ni efi wudu ebomode ni efi alwala keke na kan minfun ba shi bo nche bi o hi ake dan no ba afi wudu ekwesa na obote mo se no ya hwe no wokola ke o ya hwe no po because o hwe no mo office nje omo ko ba tashin ko mo no ke bismillah no mo twinshi no fo ni jin ahe no gbuloda ofo ogugomi kefo hin kefo ne juno he kefo ne abeku kefo ite kefo tuemi kefo na ne juno kefo na ne abeku be ni oke ba afi ne je meni mintu aka ba girigiri na me fi alwala da bi shi boni afio alwala boni afio wudu ye islam ni onwo twinshi ni ofe wudu boni afio le oba na ke be mi no ba aka ke ogbiona ne kemmin fune ni yo jemene keji nyumba asumo ne kemmin fune oji ye omin kra ene gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam e chon wa ke wo fi na kan e ba wa wo. So what is the fourth advice in terms of how to properly manage and control our anger in Islam? And that is performing ablution. Why do I say so? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said that anger comes from shaitan, and shaitan was created from fire, and the fire is extinguished only with water. So when any of you is angry, he should perform ablution. When any of you is angry, he should perform ablution. Listen to the hadith again. The Prophet ﷺ said, anger comes from Shaitan, and Shaitan was created from fire, and the fire is extinguished only with water. So when any of you is angry, he should perform ablution. That is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. So you see, you know how we perform ablution. Not like those who come and they are in a haste to catch up with the prayer and they do anything at all. But you sit down, you say Bismillah, you wash your hands up to the wrist, then you gargle your mouth or you rinse your mouth. You also rinse your nose, pass water through your nose, wash that place very well. You wash your face. You wash your right hand up to your elbow. You wash the left hand up to the elbow. You pass water over your hair from your forehead to the back. You also use your moist hands to clean the ends of your ears. Then you wash your right leg up to your ankle. Then you do same for the left leg. By the time you would have finished with all these things, you certainly would have noticed that you have taken some time to cool off, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, and your anger may have subsided. And that is what you and I would have to do when we get angry and we are in such situations. Again, what will motivate you and I to control and manage our anger is the fact that those who control their anger were praised by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as we learned in the last episode, that indeed the strong is not the one who is swift when it comes to wrestling, but the one who is able to control his anger. And yet another tradition of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was reported to have said that if you talk about patience, that is when just on the spur of the moment you should have gotten angry and you were able to swallow your anger. That is what we call patience. That is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained as what? Patience. So for you to know that indeed those who control their anger were praised by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then in effect you should also emulate that. Then again, you should realize the bad consequences of getting angry, which we learned in our last episode. The consequences of getting angry: you lose your self-respect, you may cause damage or harm to yourself or to some other person or to some things. You should know all these things. That is why the Prophet ﷺ advised Abdullah ibn Amr radiallahu anhu when he sought for advice. The Prophet said, La tagdab, do not get angry. As many times as he repeated that request, the Prophet ﷺ gave him the same response. La tagdab, do not get angry, because of the negative consequences of getting angry. So manyeme tefata he isake wole ake gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam meni yo twishi towe eji ame e kamfo ame bebi ne ka ake he wale che je money ehi epo ehi esa ye abotri no mome shimoni keji emimfue enyo emio emimfue leji moni hiwa ora leji moni hiwa agbeneke fata here be mini o kai ne ke hadis ne be febe ni o ha efi ode hia mocho ake kenyen ye hi no nyen mimimfue be mfata me ni gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ekamfo here gboke gbe na esake obi ohi ake kemuko mimfue mini na agba enyon ikeba bomono miefun de nche ogbomocho hi wale na mode nche eata he yegbeko no kefata he boni oba awie mo ekome lo ba afi ni bi kome ni eba ha bule New York ha boe na kan bule ba laje boni ekole oba afite noko lo oba aye moko awi oba apla moko be mi ni omi efune esake ogbomodin ni okeyo se na eme fe ni no hewo be fe be ni omi mfun oba mi omi mfun ni okemohi keje inemi agbene hadisku ni means money wo kwene ke hadis ne ni wo kase duao lo solemo ni yo mi bala Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam fatalo na chola ke Salama radiyallahu anha nyumbo ana eheminche ke bala Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam chomi solemoko ni ke mi ake insole mini jine ke duao ne duao eji Allahumma rabba nabiyyi Muhammadin ikfir li zambi wa asib gaiza kalbi wa ajirni min mudilatil fitani ma ahyaytana ike Allahumma o nuncho nyumbo rabba nabiyyi Muhammad ni boji Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam nuncho ikfir li zambi ke ihe shai ke intomoin akimi wa asib gaiza kalbi ni ojie mimfu ni yo intwi mi ona mimfu wo twie mi ibahin keke iha wo fite ni bi wo gbalo Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam echon fatalo ne ke duo ne sake mi moni wi o makase sake bohu kase ni be fin bi wo fe de ke duo de ke wo asib gaiza kalbi agbene jiemo mimfu ni yo intwi mi wa ajirni min mudilatil fitani ma ahyaytana agbene na mi mobo no fon ya faban o bayin keje kai ke agbene gbedun mi ne ke dua one isake mo femo ikase niji muslime ikase ne ke dua one ni Salama ifina kan dua masa matimi shikomeko ike Allahumma rabba nabiyyi Muhammadin ikfir li zambi wa asib gaiza kalbi wa ajirni min mudilatil fitani ma ahyaytana ike o Muhammad nuncho ke ihe shai akimi ni ojie minfu keje intwi mi ni oba inyi keje efun femi ke agbene gbedun mi. It's very important we go through the seerah, the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and learn from his ways. He taught one of his wives by name Salama radiyallahu anha, may Allah be pleased with her. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught her to recite this dua, to make this dua, which is very, very important, which is very, very efficacious when it comes to anger management in Islam. And what is that dua? The Prophet taught him to say, Allahumma rabba nabiyyi Muhammadin ikfir li zambi wa asib gaiza kalbi wa ajirni min mudilatil fitani ma ahyaytana, which means, oh, the Lord of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is, oh Allah, the Lord of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, forgive my sins, remove the anger in my heart, and protect me from the trials of misguidance. This is a very useful supplication when it comes to anger management. And I have to learn it and recite it always and put it into practice. And so must you, the listener, also learn this supplication and supplicate to Allah always in those ways, so that inshallah Allah would protect you and I and remove the anger from our heart. Let me go over the supplication once more. And that is, Allahumma Rabban Nabi Muhammadin ikfirli zambi wa asib gaiza kalbi wa ajirni min mudilatil fitani ma ahyaitana. That is, O Allah, Lord of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, forgive my sins, remove the anger in my heart, and protect me from the trials of misguidance. I hope we have all taken down notes, and we can get, if because of the time I couldn't take my time to break it down further, I'm sure if you visit your local imam, the mosque you pray in, and you ask the imam, inshallah, the imam will teach you. And those of you who also get the audio, you can take your time to transcribe the dua so that you include it and make it part of your daily supplications. May Allah protect us. May Allah help us to be able to manage and control our anger effectively, so that it will not lead us into committing things or into doing things that will make us regret later on in life and even in the hereafter. Allahu awawo ne hawanyo woke ne kesubane ne atwon wone e hawanyo woke twini wo ye wotwi no wo mo wotwi mi ojogba bona afi ni ni bi ni ke wo fie ba anyo mi fu ba wono nyombo aji o kajem. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Obada wo la dadekotopo municipal chief ma meshi ke ha ngene wo wie moni enwo e ha wo boni ba fe ni keji wo menfun ni oba mi wo menfun wo mi bona fe ni wo kaji wo ngle no dan oba wule wo no kra adafe twa fi oni wo hie ke ha nyene ake wo le ake mosem se nyomfe nyome ni wo abote no ni ji ochie nyom ni no ni wo twon ye min dino wo lebi wo ho na ji on the 13th January 2024, but why la gom mosen sag be here koni why wa sa ajem buye ni bi ni yo je fen san wo sa ajem fen wo hu me fen ken ke wo fe je fan wo na agbe shika mo yin ke mo ko ni mo ko akem ko koni wo na agbe ni wa sa ajem wo ha wo die nche hoy bo na fe ke ji wo be she wo wo nyi wa ya je wa sa me pa no koni wo ke wo tie wo